Hello and welcome to the ScatterVolt channel, and today we're going to be building the best $400 gaming PC in 2023, which includes this goofy looking graphics card. Now my last $400 PC build only used integrated graphics, and this time we have a dedicated CPU and actually a really good graphics card, which for you guys who watched my last PC build video, I kind of made a little hint as to which graphics card I was buying next from a certain website, and it's here in the studio, and more or less, it's the little brother of that really awesome 5700 XT that we had in that $500 PC build. So expect some really fantastic 1080p and even 1440p gaming performance out of this PC. And can it do streaming? Yeah, you can, with the right settings. So in today's PC build guide, I'll show you guys how to put together this computer step by step, the parts going inside of it, how to install Windows, graphics card drivers, and then my final thoughts on this PC. And as usual, links to every single PC part I use in this build guide can be found in the description below. Java.gg is giving away an $1,800 gaming PC this holiday season. It is also the best website right now to buy any PC hardware or pre-built gaming PCs for the best prices. Java.gg is an online marketplace full of custom PC builders like me who put up their spare PC hardware and fully built gaming PCs for sale. And I promise you, there isn't a better website out there than Java.gg when it comes to the best fully built gaming PCs that offer the best prices, best performance at the highest quality, and the best interactions between you and the seller. And you could expect similar deals for computer hardware like graphics cards, which is what I recommended in Java.gg's TechTuber gift guide if you want to check out some other opinions from other tech YouTubers on what are some of the best gifts for PC gamers through Java.gg. And like I said, Java.gg is giving away a gaming PC, and I'll have links to that as well as everything else for their website this holiday season linked in the description below. Okay, to build this computer, all you're gonna need is a banana, a pair of scissors, and an 8GB or bigger flash drive, which I'll tell you what this is later on in the video. So for the processor and motherboard, we're going with the AMD Ryzen 3 4100. This is one of the cheapest CPUs you can buy currently on the market that is supported by the AM4 socket, and the motherboard that we're pairing it with is the ASRock B450M AC R2.0. Now, just to clear this up, you don't need this exact Ryzen processor and this exact motherboard to make this build work. You can go with any B450 motherboard and any Ryzen 4000 or even 3000 processor within your budget. And I'll be real with you, just spending an extra like $40 or so can afford you a Ryzen 4500 or even a 5500 and a higher quality B550 motherboard, which will yield you much better CPU performance. So I'll also have that linked in the description below for those of you who just want to spend a little bit more extra money and get a lot more out of your buck or whatever. So open this up, and the CPU, SATA cable, don't need that. Wi-Fi antennas, we will need this. IO shield, we will need this. Manual, obviously need this if you don't know where to put what on your motherboard. And here is our motherboard. And right here, this little baggie is an M.2 SSD screw, which we will need for when we eventually install our storage. Then go ahead and take out your processor, 4100, and inside of there is gonna be a CPU cooler. And with all of that laid out, let's go ahead and install the processor onto the motherboard. So go ahead and take your banana and unscrew these two black plastic brackets off of the motherboard. Remove these, you don't need them anymore. Then open up your Ryzen 4100 right here, and as you'll see, there's a triangle on the bottom left of the CPU, and line it up with the triangle on the top left of the socket. Open up this lever right here, gently drop in the CPU. It should just fit right in. Give it a little jiggle, all good. Close down the lever, and this is what your CPU should look like. Next, take your CPU cooler found in the box for the 4100, which already comes with thermal paste, so no need to get your own. Here's your CPU cable as well, keep that in mind. I like to orient this to where the AMD logo here is on this side of the motherboard away from the RAM. Line this up with the 4 holes on the CPU backplate, and then go ahead and screw in one of these corners a little bit each time so it makes contact with the thread. And now that we have all the screws making contact with the threads on the backplate, now I can fully screw in each screw That way we put equal pressure on all sides of the motherboard socket, or the CPU socket. And then if you look right behind this little black plastic thing right here, it says CPU fan on our motherboard. This is where we go ahead and plug in the CPU fan cable, obviously. And now let's go ahead and install the SSD and RAM. For the RAM, we are using 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM clocked at 3200 megahertz with a CAS latency of 16 from Silicon Power. Now you don't have to overcomplicate this. You can get RAM kits from other brands. As long as it's DDR4 and it's 16 gigabytes of RAM, it's guaranteed to work in this computer. There you go, put that aside. And then for the M.2 SSD, we have a 512 gigabyte M.2 SSD from TimeTech. Now I know this brand may seem a little bit unfamiliar, but I did some background research on this SSD. And yes, it is really cheap, but it could be worse. Well, that's not to put this in a negative light. It's a 512 gigabyte M.2 SSD that has TLC memory on it, not the cheaper QLC memory, and it does include its own form of SLC caching, which is better than nothing. But that's mostly because for the SSD, this is $26, and it's probably one of the better super budget SSDs. But if you want to spend a little bit more and get a higher quality M.2 SSD off the bat, especially one that's 1 terabyte, I'll have that also linked in the description below. It'll be an extra $25, but I also think it's worth it. All right, we got it out of the box. Let's go ahead and install this and the RAM. So to install our RAM, we're gonna wanna open up slots A2 and B2 on the motherboard. And this has always been the rule for any 2 sticks of RAM in a gaming PC or any PC. We wanna separate them by 1 slot. So we'll put this into here, give it a firm press. Yeah, there we go. Don't be afraid to press in your RAM all the way. Yep. So if you remember, this is our M.2 screw that we found in the motherboard box. We are going to need this to install the M.2 SSD, which is pretty simple. You put it into here where it says Ultra M.2. There's a little notch here on the connector. You're going to want to line the two up. You won't mess this up. And let's open up this baggie for our M.2 screw. And then let's take our banana and we're going to put in a smaller screw here. Instead of a regular Phillips head screw, we're going to use a Phillips head 1 screw, because this is smaller, as you can see. And then let's go ahead and screw this in. There we go. And now let's go ahead and put this into our PC case. For the case, we are going with the Cooler Master Q300L. And at $40, you can't find any other case in this price range that is better than this. Yes, it's old, but at $40, it doesn't have too many compromises at that price that makes it negative in my eyes. You've got plenty of room for a longer graphics card if you want to fit something longer in the future. And it's got enough ventilated mesh on all sides of the case for pretty decent airflow. And overall, I think it also kind of ticks off that box of looking a little bit different and cooler than other PC cases in its price range. Anyways, you're given a manual, definitely have this on hand. And if you look at this, there's a lot of screws we're going to need, which come with the PC case. So if we open up the back panel here, and we untangle this, here are all the screws and anything else we need to put whatever we want inside the Q300L. And while we're here, I'm gonna do one thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this front IO here, which is our USBs and power button, to the bottom of the Q300L. Reason being, I want access to this front panel to put fans into the front of this PC case. So in order to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew these 2 screws right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and remove this front panel, unscrew these 2 screws right here. And then we're gonna take this, get all the cables out of here. Now we're gonna thread all of these underneath here. And then we're gonna wanna line this up with these 2 little inserts right here. It should just plop right in. And then we can screw this back in. Okay, got those 2 screws. We'll tip this over. And then we'll go ahead and screw in these 2 final screws. Okay, so I lied. There's actually one more thing I want you to do. Go ahead and take your baggie full of screws, open this up, break this open, spill everything out. And here, there's some screws we're gonna need for this next step. So here is our motherboard, and as you'll see, there are these holes here. And these holes are what we're gonna use to actually screw in the motherboard into the PC case through what's called a standoff. Now what's cool in the Q300L is that some of these standoffs are already pre-installed because we have just 1 and 2 standoffs pre-installed. So we need to put in 6 more standoffs to cover off the rest of the holes that we need to fully screw in our motherboard into the PC case. So let's go ahead and do that first. So the first thing we want to do is to go ahead and remove our IO shield that we found in our motherboard box. We got one side with pokey bits sticking out and the other side with a flat side. We want the flat side on the outside of the case and the side with the pokey bits on the inside. And we're going to want to go ahead and insert this here where the motherboard is going to be pressed up against the PC case. Go ahead and click in all four corners like that. So our IO shield is in. And with that done, now let's go ahead and take care of those standoffs like I said earlier, because we only have two and we need more. So let's go ahead and screw in the remaining standoffs we need to properly install the motherboard. And of course, there's only so much tightening you can do by hand. So go ahead and use this handy little standoff screw adapter that came with the Q300L and put it over the standoffs that you screwed in by hand. And now you can fully tighten these with a screwdriver. All right, now all those are fully tightened in. Let's go ahead and drop in our motherboard. Get this fan cable out of the way. Press this up against the IO shield. All right, we've got it all lined up. And now using these screws that you see here on screen, let's go ahead and start screwing in these standoffs one by one. But as you put them in, don't completely tighten them. And with this final screw, now I can go ahead and fully screw in this screw all the way. Go to one end of the motherboard, tighten this up, go to the other end, tighten this up, and more or less go in a crisscross formation. And now you can tighten each of these screws. That way there's equal pressure on all sides of the motherboard. All right, and that is done. Other than our case fan, which let's go ahead and take care of by putting this right here where it says CHA fan. Okay, for the power supply, we're going with the MSI Mag A550BN. 550 watts, 80 plus bronze. This is probably one of the top 3 best budget power supplies you can buy right now because it isn't trash, 80 plus bronze, and it works excellently with any Q300L case, as we've seen from the $500 and even the $600 gaming PC build guide, because the cables are really malleable and easy to use in a small space like this. And also this comes in a 650 watt variant, so if you want a little more wattage, if you want to throw in a higher end graphics card in the future, not a bad idea to invest a little more upfront to get a bigger power supply right off the bat. So to install this, go ahead and unscrew these 4 screws from the back of the Q300L. And if we remove this, this is our power supply bracket, which we'll use to install the power supply into the case. Let's go ahead and unbox for only like 60 bucks. It's a pretty cool looking power supply too. Power supply cable, you will need this when we get ready to boot up the computer. Then let's go ahead and take out the power supply. Now, if you remember, the screws that we used for the motherboard are the same screws we can use for screwing in the power supply into the PC case. So let's go ahead and take those out. There we go. I got 2 of them, or 4 of them. So with the fan side facing down, here's that bracket we just unscrewed. We're gonna put this on the back of the power supply, like so. Then we're gonna line up the bracket with the holes on the power supply and screw these in one by one. We've got all the screws in, and one extra thing I want you to do is to go ahead and actually unscrew this and remove it. That way we can actually put in the power supply. So if you wanna do this correctly, I would install the power supply first and then move the IO from here to here. But anyways, let's go ahead and put this in fan side facing down, bring it in. And then as you can see right here, the bracket should line up with these holes found on the PC case. Now let's go ahead and finish things up by screwing this back into the case. And with that done, one more thing I want you to do is to go ahead and take all these cables and route it through this hole so they're all on the back side of the PC case. Just like that. All right, and this is what the PC should look like, and this is what the back side of the PC should look like. So from here on out, we're gonna go ahead and plug in the front IO and power cables. So to explain what is what, all these cables right here are your front IO cables, like your power button, your USB ports, and then all of these are your power cables. So let's go ahead and take care of your front IO cables first. So now let's go ahead and take care of our front IO cables, starting with these small connectors, the ones that everyone despises, but really they're not that hard. Once again, please look at the motherboard manual. This has an actual diagram for where to plug in each of these pins, and just take your time. I don't know why people like to meme how difficult this is. It really isn't. It's gonna go here where the front I/O cables are supposed to go on your motherboard, which is always gonna be the bottom right. HDD LED, this is gonna go right here on the bottom. Then right next to it is gonna go the reset switch. And then right above the HDD LED is gonna go the power LEDs, minus and then plus. And then right above where the reset switch goes is where the power switch goes. And yeah, it's that simple. Then here is our USB 3.0 connectors. You can see there's a little like notch right here on the actual connector. And that's gonna line up with this insert on the connection itself. Bring the two together, press this in, easy. Then finally, here's our HD audio connector, and it's gonna go right here on the bottom left of the motherboard, which is universally the same across all motherboards you'll come across. And this is only gonna go in one way, like that. Now for our power cables, here's our big motherboard power connector. So you can see there's a latch here on the connector, and there's a little notch here on the connection itself. Line the two up. This will only go in one way. Make sure to firmly press it in, so it makes a firm connection. And then let's go ahead and plug in our CPU power connector, which obviously says CPU on the connector. Once again, there's a latch, there's a notch on the connector. Line the two up, bring it in. Give it a firm press, you should hear a click. Tidy up the cable. And then here's our last power cable, our PCIe power cable. This is what we'll go ahead and plug into the graphics card, which let's go ahead and install now. Now we've got the graphics card, and I'm really excited to show you guys this specific one. So this looks like it's an NVIDIA graphics card, but it's not. And if we open this up, and ooh, that looks clean. All right, okay, enough playing with you guys. Let me fully reveal what exact graphics card this is. Now, right off the bat, is it me? Or does this oddly look like an MSI Ventus graphics card? If it does, that's a good sign, because who knew that all graphics cards were pretty much made in the same place? You know, it's like these companies kind of share designs with one another. But anyways, this is a Soyo Radeon RX 5700 that is brand new. Seriously, because I'm not joking, look at it. The only fingerprints on it are my fingers. This is not a used graphics card. This is not a mining graphics card. It is a brand new Radeon RX 5700 that comes with its own 2-year warranty on AliExpress, and I bought it for $120 to $130. This is the graphics card I was hinting at in my $500 PC build. Yeah, it's a brand new 5700, and that's a fast graphics card. For $120, it is in the top 2 best budget graphics cards you can buy brand new right now. And let's install it. Oh yeah, because I know I'm gonna be asked this. Can it stream? Yes, it can stream. It can use AMD's ABC encoder, just like any other Radeon graphics card. Anyways, let's take this out, remove this PCI latch. There we go. Then we're gonna break off the PCI Express covers that our graphics card is going to populate. So let's look in here. Here's our topmost PCI slot. We're gonna wanna break off this one. There we go, got that one. And then this is a 2-slot card, so let's get the one right below it. Okay, so we've got 2 slots open for the Radeon RX 5700, which by the way comes with 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM with a large memory bus, kind of cool. Gonna line this up with the topmost PCI slot. Once you think it's gonna go in, give it a firm press, and well, bam. Then let's get our baggie full of screws, and we're gonna use the exact same screws that we used for the motherboard and for the power supply to screw in the graphics card into the PC case. First, we wanna put the PCI latch cover on like that, and then screw in the cover. And then we can go ahead and screw in the graphics card into the PC case. Okay, our graphics card is in. Now let's go ahead and plug in those PCI power cables. So once again, there's a latch on one side, and that's gonna go right here on the bottom. Actually, let's go ahead and knock out this side first. And then let's get the one right next to it. Make sure we fold these two together so we make it an 8-pin connector. And then plug that in. There we go. And then finally, don't forget to plug in your Wi-Fi antennas into the back of the PC case so you can have Wi-Fi when you install Windows. And there you go, you're done building this PC. Now let's go ahead and boot up the computer and install Windows. So course, make sure you have a keyboard and a mouse plugged into the PC. Make sure to have a monitor on standby. Of course, don't forget to supply power to the monitor. That should seem pretty obvious. Then here's a DisplayPort cable coming from the monitor. It can be HDMI, it can be whatever cable you want. Plug this into where the graphics card is, down here, not where the motherboard is. Then if you remember, here is that power cable we got from our power supply box. You're gonna wanna untangle this and plug one end to the power supply and the other end into a wall outlet, which I'll go ahead and take care of here. And while you're back here, go ahead and flick the switch on the back of the power supply from the 0 to the 1. That primes it for when you press the power button and turn on this computer for the first time. And then the last and final thing, you need an 8 GB or bigger flash drive that'll let you have a Windows bootable media device installed on it. Now I have a full video tutorial linked in the description below showing you how to create one of these for free on any 8 GB or bigger flash drive. So follow that tutorial first, go ahead and do that. And once you finish that, then go ahead and plug this into the back of the motherboard into any USB 3.0 port you like. I'll choose this one. And with everything done, go ahead and press the power button and wait. Ooh, okay, there's something on screen. If you see anything that asks you to like reset something or whatever, just proceed. So I'm gonna go ahead and press Y. It's gonna reset the FTPM, whatever that is. And you give it a few minutes and eventually you'll see a little circle pop up and now we can install Windows. Okay, let's go ahead and install Windows, hit next, install now. Here you can go ahead and enter in your Windows product key if you have a Windows 11 key on you. I don't, so you can click I don't have a product key. You can always put this in later. Windows 11 Home is the operating system I'm gonna choose. Go ahead and hit I accept, next, custom. There's our M.2 SSD, next, and wait. Okay, go ahead and choose your country. Now is where you want to go ahead and connect to your internet connection or your Wi-Fi, or if you have a router laying around in your house that's near this computer, then you can go ahead and plug in an Ethernet cable from your motherboard to your router for the fastest internet connection. But we're gonna go ahead and show you how to do this through Wi-Fi. Pretty easy, just type in your password, boop. You're welcome to name your PC. I'm gonna go ahead and skip that. Now is where you want to go ahead and sign into your Microsoft account. So whether you have an old Xbox Live account or if you already have an associated Microsoft account, whether that be through Hotmail or something like that, you're going to want to go ahead and sign into that right now. If you give an option like this, go ahead and hit view more options, set up as a new device, next. And then go ahead and create your PIN. This is what you'll use to sign into your computer every time you boot it up. And for all of these privacy settings and upcoming offers and stuff through Windows, I just decline all of those because I don't need them. I just want a clean Windows experience and I just skip, I hit no, I just do whatever I want. And from there on out, we'll go ahead and hit the Windows desktop and then install those graphics card and chipset drivers. So first, let's go ahead and open up your preferred web browser of choice. And here on the search tab, let's go ahead and type in AMD drivers. Then let's click on the AMD.com link. And then here, let's go ahead and select our Radeon RX 5700. Now, once again, although this is an off-brand, I guess you could say, RX 5700 from AliExpress, it has the exact same drivers as any other AMD graphics card you could buy, say, off of Newegg or Amazon. It's the same chip at the end of the day. Let's go ahead and download the latest version of AMD Adrenalin. Let's go ahead and open this up when it's finished. There's our Radeon RX 5700. Like I said, this isn't a scam. You are getting a legitimate, authentic AMD graphics card that is brand new, that is just like any other graphics card you could buy from, like I said, the United States or any other tech retailer. And while that is installing, and note the screen may flicker, let's go ahead and install the chipset drivers for our motherboard. So type in the name of your motherboard, which is the ASRock B450M Pro 4 R2.0. Go ahead and open the web page for the motherboard, hit on support, click on download, and here's all the different software we can go ahead and install onto our motherboard. Now our graphics card drivers have finished installing, but let's not restart our computer yet, so hit finish. We just need to install this AMD chipset driver and we'll be all good to go. We've extracted that, open that up, go ahead and open AMD chipset software. And while this is finishing up, there we go, let's go ahead and hit install. Let that run. Just note, if you ever wanted to go ahead and install a BIOS update for this motherboard, it's really easy. Here you have all of the BIOSes for your motherboard. We can install one from, looks like the latest one is from June if we want to do that. It's not necessary, but it's there if you ever wanted to update your BIOS. And looks like this is going to finish up soon. The chipset software has successfully installed. Now let's go ahead and restart our computer and do one final thing in the BIOS, which to access the BIOS, we're going to want to spam the delete key as soon as we see the brand of the motherboard pop up on screen. All right, we're in. Here's the BIOS. As you can see, our RAM isn't running at 3200 megahertz, which is the advertised speed. So to fix that, click on OC Tweaker. Go here where it says Load XMP Settings. Switch this from Auto to the Profile 1. This does all of the RAM overclocking for you. Then we'll hit Exit, Save Changes and Exit, and you are ready to get to gaming. So right before we get into these benchmarks, I want to quickly show you guys how to easily overclock or undervolt the Radeon RX 5700. So click here on Performance under your AMD Adrenalin software, click on Tuning, and then here we're given some options. We can either undervolt the GPU if you want to reduce GPU overall power draw, but in exchange for a few frames per second, this is kind of smart if you want the GPU to run a little bit cooler or if you just want to use less power. But for today's video, we're going to go ahead and overclock the GPU, and it's going to do it automatically for us just so we can get an extra few frames per second. And with that, let's get to gaming. All right, we are here on Forza Motorsport. This game came out like a week and a half ago, and we are going to be playing it on this $400 gaming PC. And once we get into the game, I'll show you guys the graphics settings, but first, we gotta get a good launch. And if you're wondering, yes, I am playing and recording the game at the same time through AMD Relive. Good launch. Again, we're using manual with clutch, so we gotta wait for the gear shift before we can shift up the gear. That may have not just made sense, because I can't multitask. We're gonna hang it around the outside, maybe. Drop it down a gear. That guy went wide. Oh yeah, we're going all the way around. Oh, that's gonna be tight. Just gonna go on the curb right there, use that. Can we be cheeky right here? No, we gotta leave that guy a little bit of space, and power. Let's get in this guy's slipstream. Maybe we can make a move into this next turn. Nope. Gotta set up a good exit. Oh, we went deep. Except all three of these guys, they decided to do a little bit of kerfuffling. Oh, we just went off track. No penalty, right? Sweet. Okay, we gotta chase down first. But before we get to that, let me show you guys the graphics settings. We're running the game, like I said, at 1080p. We're recording and playing the game at the same time. And we're running the game at medium settings with AMD FSR actually turned off. So we could be getting more frames per second. It just happens to crash the game when I enable it, which is more of a game issue. Because this game, like I said, it's brand new. It just came out. Here on driving assists, I've got everything turned off. And I've got AI set to the max level. So yeah, I'm a baller. I like driving these muscle cars simply because they struggle with grip. And you have to be very keen to when you put the power down, because they got stock tires on. You could go off track and hopefully not get a penalty. I got a warning, that's okay. Brake early. Bring it around. Oh, then we got an off-track violation. No! We can't keep it on the track. Oh, this may be a problem, depending on how close third place is. Let's get a good exit. Ah, yeah, penalty for you, yes. Well, that isn't fair. Oh my goodness. What was that, man? You just turned it into me. Oh man, that's gonna be fourth place for us. Frustrating. Okay, well, let's try it on another game. Okay, and the next game I want to show off is Starfield. This game still very much is not completely optimized for the PC yet. It's about a month old, and we are barely running it at 1080p on a $400 gaming PC. Now, if you notice on the top left, I don't have just the frame rate. I also have the CPU total and GPU total utilization. And if I just stand right here, you'll see that GPU utilization is pretty much at 100% because it's completely taxing the graphics card graphically. However, look at that CPU total. It's inching close to 90%, which isn't anything to worry about, but it just spiked to 95. So I will say, in a game like Starfield, where it could be a little bit CPU intensive, you could run potentially into a bottleneck. I don't see it right now, but I'm just saying, if we had a slightly stronger GPU, like the 5700 XT, or a slightly weaker CPU, then we'd probably run into a bottleneck. So I think this is just clearing it. But anyways, we gotta travel to Mars as per my mission log right now, and I'll show you guys the graphic settings once we get there. Just about the only thing concerning right now is, other than some weird graphical things that I've seen, because, you know, after all, we're running Starfield at 1080p on a $400 gaming PC, is the frame times are a bit high. Okay, now in space, this is pretty smooth. We're getting close to 60 FPS, frame times around 16 milliseconds. This is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and get a move on. Good. Are we anywhere near the cave that we're supposed to go to? That's the bigger question. All right, here's a true test. Well, not a true test of performance. We have to go to Neon for that. Yeah, this is easy. If we were in Neon, it'd be a different story. Running around on the surface of Mars, we're getting almost 60 frames per second. If we went into a populated area like New Alexandria or Neon, we'd probably be below 50 frames per second, as you saw when we were in the ship. But you can see here, like in a less populated area, now that CPU total utilization has gone down to about, yeah, it's still around 60, 70. Now this is gonna be a real test of FPS. We're about to go into Sidonia. There's gonna be pops. There's gonna be just some really crazy game level design, because it's Bethesda. And make note of that CPU total utilization. We're getting, yeah, actually, you know what? We're doing a little bit better than I expected. Getting about 50. It needs to be, we need to get an extra 10 FPS in my opinion, but it's definitely running. And it's not like there's any huge frame stutters. That was it. Okay, sweet. Well, anyways, there's completing a mission in Starfield, and let's finish out the video. Okay, we are running CS2. Anyways, so we're running CS2 right now. Oh man, can I show you guys the game settings without getting killed? Yep. Anyways, real quick. Oh! Okay, let me show you guys those game settings real quick. So we're running the game with 4x MSAA. Anti-traffic filtering is set to 4x, and overall we are set to medium, low, and Fidelity FX is disabled. Oh, you know what? Respect to that guy. Respect to that guy. Taking me down with the Deeg. Respect. Oh. I don't have the sense with the AK. I'm switching to the op. Oh, shoot. Yeah. that was waiting for a little bit. One Deeg. Woo! I suck at Deagle. Oh, never mind, I'm great. Okay, I'm dead. Hey. He deserved that. Oh, hey. Oh. Woo! I'm sorry, guys. Oh, this is embarrassing. Nothing hit. I should have just scoped in. Oh, the no-scopes! What happened to the op no-scopes in CS2, dude? I get right up to them and they just... Woo! Actually, you know what? We're gonna finish out the video with the Nova, because apparently the Nova is just OP. Nova time. Oh my, what? Did they nerf the Nova? All right, I'm at a dead end. Whatever, we'll try the XM. Oh. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Let's finish out the build. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up this build video with whether or not I would actually build this $400 gaming PC, and I'm gonna say yes. First off, I'm really pleased with the graphics card choice in this build because the Radeon RX 5700 still packs quite a bit of beef even in 2023. After all, it was one of AMD's first RDNA GPUs, so it's still somewhat up to date as far as architecture goes, with the only fault being mesh shaders. Because I saw some of you in the comments section point this out in my last PC build guide featuring the 5700 XT, is that some games like Alan Wake 2 won't run that well on the 5700 XT because it lacks mesh shaders, which can be a drawback. However, keep in mind, you're paying only $120 for a graphics card of this caliber. So if you subtract probably the fact that maybe it doesn't have the best mesh shading support built in just for specific AAA games, then all around, a graphics card like the 5700 is easily the best in its class for about 120 bucks. There is no other used or even brand new graphics card that comes close to it in performance other than its bigger brother, the 5700 XT. Now, CPU wise, this is where I would consider changing up things because the Ryzen 4100, it's a 4-core CPU, which I wouldn't have issues with, say if it were an i3-12100 processor, but this is a 4th generation Ryzen processor on an older architecture, and its single threaded performance is not as strong as, say, what Intel has in their latest i3 processors. It's kind of lacking in here, and you can see that in a game like Starfield, we get somewhat close to a CPU bottleneck. And I know we could completely avoid that if you went with like a Ryzen 5 4500. That is only about an extra 10 bucks more. Absolutely consider that over the 4100 if you were to spend a little bit more money to really improve this PC. Otherwise, performance-wise, I'm pretty satisfied. This is gonna be a pretty bang-on 1080p gaming PC that can run all the latest titles. And for any esports titles, you could probably run those at 1440p and still get high frame rate. But as usual, I'll have links to all of the PC parts you need to build this computer in the description below, as well as those small upgrades that can really make this $400 computer a much more compelling option. But I don't think I'd go any cheaper than this. This is probably the cheapest I would do a custom DIY PC build, because past this point, you're gonna have to look at getting a CPU with integrated graphics, and those aren't going to be nearly as strong as a dedicated graphics card. So there you have it. That is it for today's PC build video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, give this video a like. The more likes we get, the more successful this video hopefully will be in the algorithm. And once again, I want to give another thank you for all of your continued support and just viewage in the latest videos. They've been doing really nicely, so I want to thank you guys for that. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and this is the ScatterVolt channel, signing out.